This is iRacing.
Well, Dennis Johansson last week won another photo finish, and photo finishes feel like it's the norm here in the Skip Barbers, and how can you not like it? But we leave Australia and come back to what could be the home of European touring cars, and unfortunately, the guy who did design this corner won't be taken into a dark room today. It's Oschersleben for round 8 of the Skip Barbers Challenge, and you will see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Well, good evening or good morning to anybody. I am Craig King, and joining me in the booth tonight is Alex Goldschmidt. Our director will be Christian Duploy, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, officially on iRacing, this is called the Grand Prix layout. It's not, though. It's the alternate layout. But you get a good idea. There's only one corner change. To find out more, though, we head to that GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. About 2 hours west of Berlin, it hailed in a more modern era of racetracks for the country when it opened in 1997. But perhaps one of the most surprising statistics about this place is it's only the 4th permanent racing facility to open in Germany. With 4 layouts to choose from, ranging between 1 and 3.5 kilometers, it's very well suited to touring cars, GT cars, and lower-level open-wheelers. Hotel and Turn 7 are 2 notable corners due to the fact that they each offer more than 180 degrees of rotation. However, Hotel is the more famous for its tighter, slower version, causing all kinds of headaches on race starts when drivers inevitably slow to a crawl trying to navigate it. The chicane doesn't do much to slow cars down, but it does create a very tricky entry into the long right-hander of 10. Also, Triple does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a 3-apex turn on your way into 7, so precision will be key. The front stretch and back stretch are nice long straights to get the car going, but both create dilemmas with difficult corners for overtaking at the end of them. It's a lot of tightly packed, technical and twisty circuit shoved into a small footprint. But much like the layout, this venue offers a lot for a little with its great racing.
Well, the only thing I didn't see there was a touring car. Alex, you know touring cars. You know Oschersleben. You've got a lot of a good idea about this track.
Yeah, I mean, it was the location back in 2017 where TCR International and TCR Germany had a combined 62 cars on this grid. I mean, the circuit itself, you know, it's a quite short track, but there's a lot of long straightaways, which will mean slipstreaming will be crucial here, but it's from turn 1 to turn 10 that you've really got to be cornering the car on rails, and that's where the big difference is going to lie. But turn 1, I mean, obviously being on the more sort of curvaceous side, it's not going to mean that John Clellan's going to make a magical appearance, but yeah, it is one that could cause a little bit of chaos in the meantime.
Yeah, it could cause some chaos. I'm keeping my eyes out on 4, 5, and 6 at the triple. Can see some fireworks around those corners, so look forward to seeing things there. And of course, that chicane section at 8, 9, and then into McDonald's at 10. Not named after the fast food chain, at least I don't think so. Regardless, going to be quite interesting today because it's a little bit more free compared to the slipstream tracks we've had recently. We've also had the championship going on, and it's very interesting all of a sudden at the championship because Martin has dropped weeks, Miles has dropped weeks, and that's important. When I say Miles has dropped weeks, he doesn't. That's why he is so close now to Miguel Martin and Daniel Ortuga right behind. Didn't have the best of weeks last week. Still there. Raul Roches Guardia, Tim Bertie also right behind, and Javier Sanchez, Heike360 as we know him on Twitch, just behind. Jesus Cabal will be in 7th with Martinez just behind in 8th. Philip Burke will be 9th. Peter Soapanki will be 10th. Some other drivers there in the background still trying to make some moves. But of course, as it is the Skip Barber, it's a D-licensed, Alex, and it's a little bit different when we come to our race details.
Yeah, it's round 8 out of 12. It's going to be a 15-lap adventure around the circuit, just literally 30 kilometers from Magdeburg on the River Elbe. Open setups for all drivers, 1 spare car, standing start, and disqualification at X17 incident points. So again, like I said, through turns 1 to 10, that's where we're going to see the majority of potential track limits and maybe incidents happening.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get close to that 17. There is a track just there bit of high humidity out there today, but I can assure you there's no rain in the forecast. It's about 94, 95% humidity, and you can just see 23 Celsius track temp, around about 73 Fahrenheit for our friends over the pond, as I say. Some drivers already coming across to start their laps, not set their laps, start their laps. Tim Bertie going to be one of the first cars to go out to set a lap, and this is the difference. A little bit more flowy as we see the Miguel Martin leading the championship. He comes into this, and I like how you said it, Alex, a little bit curvaceous here, heading into turn 1 and into turn 2. But I feel it just allows the drivers to be a little bit more aggressive side by side.
Well, I mean, especially on the run down to Hotel at turn 1, you are going to be basically trying to, someone might go for the send it Hail Mary around the outside at turn 1. That will get you the inside line for the next couple of corners. But then going through into the mid part of this infield section, you can just see it's about throttle modulation as well. So these Skip Barber cars, I mean, especially when we get to the chicane, where back in the old days of when DTM was running silhouettes rather than being a GT3 bop spec series, as we're now going through that section here, there was a little bit of liftoff by Matat on that particular occasion going through the midway point of it. So you've got to be very, very careful. But now going down the back straights in towards Shell, the speeds are going to be quite high on these Skip Barbers. I mean, don't let these small diminutive race cars fool you, folks, because they are a barrel full of laughs when you get behind the wheel. And it's one of the cars that you can, if you're new to iRacing, just jump on and enjoy it more to anything.
Yeah, these are the cars that back in the day, I'm talking like an old man now, you used to learn how to race on iRacing in a Skip Barber car, little skippies, and they still got their community. Tim Bertie will be pole position right away, completely taken away because Martin did do his best. But here is Adam Miles, and straight away he's looking to get a time on the board. He's going to be the last of the time qualifiers. It feels like he'll come down into Shell using all the lines, not even going near the anti-cut sausage, just there through Shell. And a man, as he comes in to Bauer right away, again opening the corner up so much. He knows the track limits, not going to risk it. You can run over these green AstroTurf, that's perfectly fine. He's looking to get his 10k I rating back, and he might do it today if he gets a really good result. But he's coming across the line. He cares about one thing, and that's winning. And right away he puts his car straight on pole position by the barest of margins.
4 1,000ths of a second, as we see Josephine Becker, who's always been in the thick of the action whenever we go racing here in the Skip Barber series. So wondering if the number 16 might be able to put herself up the field. And we have seen that before in qualifying, but also sometimes when Josephine has had a difficult qualifying session, Craig, she's made up for it in race pace.
Yeah, she's got some really good race pace, and I wonder if she has actually been around this track before in the real world. Could be quite interesting to ask her after the race, of course, but trying to use it all again. You'll also see drivers taking different lines, also just flirting with the white line in the grass there to set herself up for Shell. Little bit more turning, lets the car just rotate. Not a lot of sliding out the rear, as some of the drivers like to do when it comes to this car, but still able to get it more times. Now coming in, Tim Bertie set for lap. It's going to be pole position for him. He managed to find some time on Adam Miles. Josephine wants to go a little bit faster this time. I do wonder if she's going to do it. Utuga goes up into pole position as Josephine will cross the line. It's a respectable 39.5, puts her into 8. Mella, now the times are all flying up at the moment.
Yeah, the track is evolving quite significantly as we go back to the number 1 car of Adam Miles running in that. It kind of reminds me of the old Duckham's livery that Max Coates ran in Porsche Carrera Cup GB last year, as he's going to come out of the final couple of corners. Now, can Adam Miles beat Jose Mella? Well, it's going to be close here, and that is a 1:38.262. He goes top by 0.13 as Vlado Tito now on a aggressive quali lap as he makes his way through Hotel.
Going to be the last one. His first lap was invalid for an off track, so it's all or nothing right now, and it's the last car to set a lap time out here. We've got 18 cars out here today, and this is the 18th car is Elgud Ballart. He's going to be finishing his laps as well. The strength of field, 4,945 today, and To give you an idea, poor Elgert's here.
Oh.
3.2k, he slides and being aggressive. Can't really do it. That felt a little bit like what happened to Hamilton and Rosberg, apart from it was one car there, just find themselves in the gravel.
Yeah, kind of the livery sort of chalked up that comment right there, but Vlado Tito straight through the chicane without any hesitation at all. Now, can he make the best of it as he's going to head down the back straightaway into Shell very quickly? And it's a very, very quick section here in the right, left, right complex before they go through the final corner. So it is going to be crucial if Vlado Tito can not have any track limits possibilities, but he's really coming through these final couple of corners. Through the final corner, can he jump up the order towards the sharp end as we've got 35 seconds to go in quali?
35 seconds to go. This could be the last driver to set a lap. It's a 38.7. It's a strong time. Gonna put him 5th place. That's a really good time at the come of the hour there for the driver. I'm just double checking. I think Christian has got everything all sorted. Yeah, drivers are just going around for some lap time and a little bit of last minute preparation. That's going to be all she wrote today. 18 cars out here. We'll get to the first page very shortly because, as you saw, Adam Miles will be pole position with Jose Luis Mella beside him, with Daniel Ortuga in 3rd. Tim Bertie will be 4th. And then it's Vlado Tito back again in 5th. Miguel Martin will be in 6th, followed by Philip Burke in 7th and Raul Rochas Guardia in 8th. Pablo Hogelar will be 9th. Josephine Becker makes that top 10.
Yeah, then going on to page 2, it's going to be Frankie D with Owen Sommer alongside on row 6. Peter Suapanki will be joined on row 7 by Franco Machini. Jesus Cabal, Tim Huss, Egowitz Ballart, and Brendan McDonough will round out the 18 strong. Very, very close in terms of the field. It was just under 2 seconds between 1st and 18th position. But Vlado Tito is literally 1/1000th off of going ahead of Tim Bertie in terms of putting himself on the outside of row 2. But maybe he's got a little sneaking surprise up his sleeve.
1,000th away from making what would have been the 2nd row. Instead, got what you could argue is probably the worst line to be. I don't know. Sometimes taking the outside line of turn 1 is a little bit better for some of the drivers. We may see that when we go side by side down the start-finish line, that the outside line into turn 1 might be the faster line, but just waiting on one more driver for this 25-minute race, roughly about that. It's going to be 15 laps, definitely, as you know, with 90-second laps to go. One driver still waiting. Barney's got the flag. You don't need the flag right now, Barney. Just don't worry. Just hit the button to turn the lights on. That's all we need right now. Just one driver left to go. We're going to be going racing here for 15 laps. Driver is here. And now we just wait for the launch. Are we still waiting for another driver? I think, it's every time this happens to me, it happens, but it's not anymore. It's a green flag. They try to catch me napping. They're not catching anybody napping. And everyone just gets a real good start. They're going to just take the slow wall, single file. Mella looks like he wants to try and make some sort of move into turn 1. Going to have to go side by side with Ortuga. Ortuga decides it's not worth it. Why'd they go through? Everybody gets through cleanly. Just one overtake so far. Now 2 at the back of the field.
Yeah, Tito trying to go on the offensive around the outside of Bertie for P4 as someone gets very, very wide. I think that might have been either Suapanki or Machini towards the back end of the field, as it is going to be rather close coming through here at Hasserhuda. And then they're going to head through into this very, very tricky triple left coming up before the hairpin, before the chicane. But Ortuga holding on to that 2nd position, but Adam Miles has bolted already.
Yeah, and if he sees Ortuga and Mella start fighting, he's going to be happy about that. Philip Burke already down 2 places. Frankie D down 2 places. And Tim Huss doing a little bit of a spin in the background, but nothing happening at the front. They come on through. Be careful not to get an off track or a slowdown through turn 9 there, through that in part of that chicane. Now comes the slipstream game. You're through the technical section of the track, and now you're on these straights. And this is where you'll look later in the race to see drivers look to make moves. They may even set themselves up once they come out of a man down into Bauer. Maybe just, I see Tim Bertie really pushing. Josephine Becker just getting past Philip Burke as well. Philip's now down 3, not the start he wants. And you can just start to see they're starting to lose some time by just battling as Burke goes a little bit wide and lets some more cars through.
Yeah, Owen Sommer just getting through on Philip Burke, who's dropped down to 11th. He's got Suapanki, D, Machini, and Ballard just behind. So good work there by Josephine Becker to get herself up into 9th position. But great helicam shot as we see them go into turn 1, then into turn 2 here at Hotel. It's a very sweeping complex, so it allows you to carry the momentum. If you've got the car balanced right in this open setup category, you've got a real good chance of having that nice purchase between aerodynamics and also handling. But it is the case that now Otuga has closed that gap to Miles. It was half a second, it's now half that.
Yeah, good driving there from Otuga, getting the balance right on the back here of Miles, and won't be looking for a move through the triple right now. It's just a game, a waiting game. Definitely not the generation game, but he needs a big break for sure to hopefully do something. We're on the hoop cam of Jose Mella. Continues on Peter Suapanki in the background. I just saw in the time tower had a little bit of a moment out there as well. But this is where it's nice and calm. Get through McDonald's, and I think they'll be wanting fries with their next time by, because it looks like some drivers still looking to make moves, but only one driver really in a chance to make an overtake, and it's at the back of the field, and it's Philip Burke getting past Josephine Becker.
Oh, Otuga had a bit of a slide there, and Jose Mella nearly had the opportunity to go through on him. So Daniel Otuga is really, you can see how hard he's pushing. It was back end out coming through into the final right-hander, and Otuga, I think that car is a little bit loose, but that's probably where Daniel feels a little bit comfortable. Just have a little bit more rotational speed when it comes to that car. And here we're going to see picture-in-picture Suapanki loses the back end on the right-hand side, and oh, there she goes over the sausage curb, and he loses a bag full of positions in the process.
Yeah, try to take the Joker lack, but that's not touring car or Skip Barber. That's something different for sure. But you were saying about Otuga likes a little bit of a looser setup. Some of the drivers do. But the characteristic of the Skip Barber is to have a little bit of a slide, and when you go to the mid to high speed corners, you try to have that rear just going. You try and work with the slide, and maybe got a little bit too loose out there today. I think it is open setups, and that's one of the fun things about the Skip Barber. They may be D-licensed, one of the only D-licensed series that is open setup and just exclusively. So does help the driver. Jesus Cabal also looking to make some moves as well, trying to get through Ballard. Remember, Ballard was the last car in the field, the number 18, but makes that mistake, a rare mistake, you think about it, through turn 7 to let an overtake go. You don't really see that a lot of the time.
No, especially here at Oschersleben, where it is, as you said, it's kind of that strategy game that you've got to play. You're not going to get a Brucey bonus, nevertheless, but you've got to try and do what you can to try and get through. But we're running on board with the number 17, the Argentinian, Franco Machini, and you can just see the amount of wheel work they're doing just to try and keep these cars within track limits. Machini runs a little bit wide, and he's right with Ballard at the moment, who has done a really good job of making some initial gains, and I think is the biggest mover up the field. Is actually down to 14th, but Machini with a big old snap of oversteer has to quickly counter-correct, as Jose Mella is the quickest out there again. 1:38.829 by the man in second position. But look, it is the Adam Miles train, and you look at the biggest gap between cars, it's between Pablo Hoglar and Philip Burke between 8th and 9th position. The gap between them is about 2.5 seconds. So the top 8, as we've come to know here, Craig, in the Skip Barber Sim Racing series, that when you get a train, expect the unexpected when you get to the final third of the race.
Yeah, and I think that's what the drivers are looking at, and I think Martin's just out of the slipstream there in 6th. Yeah, you can just see that gap between Tito and Martin in the background. And for Martin, championship implications, well, we're getting to that stage of the championship, one would think, especially if Adam Miles is there. Josephine Becker also looking to try to get past Philip Burke. Lost out to Philip Burke earlier in the race. I think it was about lap 1 she lost out. Try to get that position back. Comes around onto the back straight right now after McDonald. It's just not close enough to make some move. This is the real closest opportunity. Is Mella still looking. In fact, this is the closest gap in the whole of the field. Quite interesting when you think about it. Mella does have a chance. Some drivers will look for the move there into Bauer, knows it's not worth it, comes into Zeppelin, and if he gets a good run out of Zeppelin, and he does, and even though Otuga's got a little bit of a slipstream as well, Mella's just a bit too far away to take advantage of this right now.
Yeah, they're just getting closer and closer to about 110 miles an hour down the start-finish stretch at 180 Ks. Into turn 1, you can see again, like we were talking about Otuga earlier on, but Mella to the inside, showed his nose to the number 9, and well, he had to back out of it at the last moment because Otuga was turning right to cover him off.
Covered him off, and I think he only had no option but to cover him off, and they've got to be careful not to fight too much. In the background, you've got Machini still looking to fight Bala. It's crazy to think the hardest charger was the man who started in 17th and go up 3 places, and the next hardest charger is the man in front in Jesus Cabal. So they're looking to try and see who wants the +2, who wants the +3. It's going to be an interesting battle out there as well, because this is a tough track for overtaking in a series like this. And that's not a knock at the Skip Barbers, not a knock at the track, but when you introduce this much speed or this much lack of speed compared to something like a GT car, a touring car, or an F3 or like Super Formula Light, those sort of cars, you've got the ability to go in for moves. But Mella here, real good run out of the chicane of McDonald's, and there's just nowhere for him to go right now. He's just really has to get to the back.
Yeah, I mean, Vlado Tito's still at the back end of the 5-car train, so if anything kicks off in front of him, you know, he knows that he's got an opportunity to strike whilst the iron's hot. And sometimes you don't always want to be at the lead of the race. As coming out of Zeppelin, Adam Miles, left rear wheel on the gravel, kicks up the dust, and here comes Otuga, and this is going to be to the outside. Here at turn 1, Otuga is going to try and go for it. Vlado Tito with the new fastest lap. And here goes Otuga. Will he get the inside line for turn 2? No, Miles keeps it pinned round the outside, wheel to wheel. Otuga in front by a nose cone.
Still side by side though, and Mella's looking at this and realizes there's no point trying to fight this, as now the inside belongs to Miles as they come through Hasaroda and gets it done. And if he's too bad, if Otuga leaves too much room here, the inside's going to be here for Mella, but through the triple it's going to be really tough to go side by side. It's doable, but you're always going to have to yield, and they will be a little bit of overlap. But no, Mella gets it done. Has to be careful not to carry too much speed to go into the back of Miles. Did that so well as Otuga lost a little bit of grip, went a bit too wide there, and losing the grip a little bit, had to just back it down, had no choice but to tap out there for the moment and just give up the position. I can't believe I've seen an overtake this early going into turn 4 and 5 and 6, but never say never on a track like this.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Craig, but it is going to be the case that the top 5 at the moment, well, they're covered by just over 9.5 tenths. Make that give or take 9 tenths. Vlado Tito has got the fastest lap of the race, quickest of anybody, 1 minute 38.023. Daniel Otuga, who's now down into 3rd position, and he's got Tim Bertie and Vlado Tito now joining the party. It's the case of can Miles and Mella check out into the distance. Well, that's not going to be easy, as we're nearly at the halfway point as we've completed lap 7 out of 15. 8 to go here at Oschersleben.
8 to go, and Mella looking to see what he can do. He knows that can make that move and really proved why this layout, turn 1, going around the outside is strong. But Miles just had that grip around the outside of Hotel to really work it. And again, he has to get on the defense right away. Really being tested at this stage of the race by Mella, and compromises the entrance here into turn 3 at Hasaroda. And now has to just, again, more defense here, coming into 4, 5, and 6. Having to be on the defense because he doesn't have the run out, because he's compromised his entry to the corner. That allows Mella to just put more pressure on him, more tire wear, even though we're talking a quick lap race here. That tire wear is really going to pay havoc here. But again, the pressure is on, and Mella, it's not the corner to make a move here, but right on the tail, and here comes Otuga. Never say never, but just can't get the launch out of McDonald. Yeah,
Otuga did a 35.9 in the opening sector, nearly 3 tenths quicker than the race leader Adam Miles. As here goes Jose Mella to the inside, he dives through, and then wheel to wheel again, but Miles still able to place the car when he runs a little bit wide, kicks up the gravel a little bit. Vlado Tito, I think, is licking his lips with glee at the minute, because he's got Tim Bertie to his immediate left-hand side. Vlado Tito gets through into 4th position. We really have got someone that is just picking his moments. But Adam Miles is putting on a hell of a defensive masterclass here in the Skip Barber race at Oschersleben. But now, here comes Jose Mella once again to the outside. And he gets through on the inside line, but Miles has the inside line for turn 2. Like we saw with Miles and Otuga, they make a little bit of a touch there. But Miles still keeps ahead. But can Mella keep his throttle pinned? He's going to still say to Adam Miles, come on, sunshine, you're going to have to give way at one point.
Well, you're going to try and make a man who has been 10K, wants it back. You have to make him fight for it. There is still overlap coming into the triple. The outside not that very strong. Mella tried to just squeeze him a little bit there, and it has worked. Still got a little bit of overlap. How they've not touched wheels, I don't know. And side by side, they'll continue to go. Still a little bit of overlap here through 7. Still more overlap. Mella gets a touch. It is unfortunate. He tried to pin that line as much as he could, but something had to give. It was hard defending. It was respectful defending. Mella just loses out. It was the lightest of touches, but it was the worst of touches as he falls down into 3rd, and Tito hasn't had the time. Mella's going to look for the response. He wants this now. He goes for it again. He says, Daniel, I'm sorry. I need to restore this battle with Adam because I'm having a whale of a time out here.
Kind of reminds me of Gary Paffett versus Timo Glock in DTM back in 2018 at the season opener at Hockenheim. Oh, Otuga goes very, very wide into the penultimate right-hander, but still gathers it up and stays ahead of Vlado Tito. If that had gone any further south for Daniel Otuga, then Vlado Tito would have been up to P3, and I think Tim Bertie would have been through as well.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eyes on the timing tower, and Guardia only gains a 10th or 2 tenths or 3 tenths. Depending on who you look at, to this top 5 still battling. So they've all decided to play musical chairs to try and see where they want to be. It's not the Titanic. I think this is musical chairs trying to adjust the deck chairs on a 737 at the moment. So that's what it feels like. We are flying high and fast out here at the moment. But now I think Mella's just going to reset and relax. Lap 9 of 15. Still got a bit more time, but knows the moves can be done if you set it up. Be patient, and with the way this is the tight track to make some overtakes at this stage of this part of the track, it is more of a game of chess. Set yourself up for a move by just making yourself smooth and efficient through these corners, and that's what he's been trying to do. So has been Bertie, so has been Otuga. Tito just went for the brute force, but he set it up as well. They're all setting up for these moves, and realistically, the top 5 have now checked out. There are groups elsewhere, but this is the key group.
Yeah, more to the point, Raul Guardia is rounding out the top 6. He's 2.6 or so seconds behind this battle, which has been absolutely captivating all the way through the laps that we've had so far. We're very shortly going to come into the final third of this 15-lap encounter here at Oschersleben, but Adam Miles doing a great job. Vlado Tito got a little bit of snap-on oversteer there, coming through the penultimate right-hander as they come out of Zeppelin once again, but Miles just doing an absolutely sterling job at the front end of the field. Now, does Mella and does Otuga have the slipstream as Adam Miles puts in the fastest lap of the race? Then it goes to Otuga. 1:37.525. Not only are they racing close, but they're also bringing each other along for the ride.
Tito, 37.540. Otuga, 37.525. 37.532 for Mella, 37.611 for Miles. If you want to look at Bertie, it was unfortunately a 37.720, but there's nothing to separate between these drivers, and it is hard, clean, respectful racing at the front. And now, Miles straight away realized he didn't get the best of runs there. And you can see now why some drivers like running with that delta bar at the top of their screen or near the bottom of their screen to get a look. And, oh, a checkup! Mella took too much speed going into turn 7 there, and everybody just had to check up, and that could have been a concertina effect that caused a big crash. It hasn't, but losing that 10th usually hurts a driver. It hasn't hurt the driver. It's hurt the rest of the field, though. I'm not saying it was strategy, it's just a happy accident.
Yeah, Vlado Tito right on the rear of Daniel Otuga as they'll go into Shell and then into Bauer. Again, just now that gap between Mella and Otuga has climbed to the best part of 4.5 to 0.5 of a second. So it is going to be 5 to go next time around. And again, Otuga just with the loose end of his car, just sashaying its way onto the gravel with the left rear wheel. Again, now Mellor is right, he's nigh on bump drafting Miles. And look, he's trying to look to the inside, he's pulled alongside him. So Mellor gets ahead into turn 1 and parks it on the apex at 2. Jose Mellor now finally, with 5 laps to go, eventually breaks the deadlock, but can Adam Miles come back at him?
Well, the key thing there was Adam realized that there was no point fighting because there would not be the overlap like there was the last time that happened, and just immediately accepted the position was lost. It was strategic moves there from Adam, and now he's got to try and be the aggressor. And we've seen how hard it is to make an overtake here. Again, hardest charger, we go back to it, is basically half the drivers that have gained positions today are the hardest chargers at +2. It is a tough track for overtaking because it's a driver's track at the moment, and they head on down to the chicane once again. Adam's looking for a move. I'm not saying this is like a Red Bull or a Mercedes trying to follow a car at Monza, but it does feel like Adam right now, he might be the faster car, but in a draft race like this, with not a long run to the start-finish line, he's going to have to try and make the move somewhere, if not turn 1.
Yeah, pretty much everyone in the top 5 were doing 33.9s in the middle sector. Adam obviously not fighting that move by Jose Mellor, lost about 3/10 in the process, but still, he's in between, he's in the middle of a Mellor and Ortega sandwich, so, but there's 4 laps to go, and this is where it's going to all come down to this point, as Jose Mellor now puts in the fastest lap of the race, 1:37.297. But again, Ortega loses a little bit of time. He got a tag from Vlado Tito. Meantime, at the back of a little bit further back, Miguel Martin now gets through on Raul Guardia, and that's for P7. Oh no, Martin getting through on Jogler there for P7. So a change between the 3 Skip Barbers here. Now this is for 6th, 7th and 8th, and then there's a further 3.3 seconds back to Philip Burke, who's got Owen Sommer, Josephine Becker and Frankie D, amongst others, challenging him for that position. So pockets of battles, as we always see, when there's a big gap between the top 5 to 6th, 7th and 8th, and further back to 9th backwards, you're going to see these wonderful pockets of battling, and they have all been really, really clean so far. And we've still got, after this, 3 laps to go, but with how close the top 5 are from Mellor to Bertie, it's just over 9/10 of a second at this point.
The interesting thing with this is these guys at the front have been battling hard. They've been going side by side for some points of the race, and they're still 4.5 seconds ahead of Guardia, Martin, and Hogla. That just goes to show the pace, the racing. Remember, Guardia, Martin, Hogla, they've not been fighting like these guys, but it will be free to go when they cross the line. That start-finish line is so short. Now, Daniel, you're not going to take this free wide. Straight away, Adam realized he had to make that move. He had to make that move, not just to get the overtake, and he shuts the door as well, but it's a little tap in the background of Mellor. It's the unfortunate attack. Miles is off the road, and somehow he gets it under control, but now it's Mellor's game to win.
Yeah, and now he's got 3 hard chargers behind him in the form of Ortega, Tito and Bertie, and they are not covered by much real estate, as Burke is being charged. Sommer to the inside, the man from the Netherlands who's got Josephine Becker in his wheel tracks, and Sommer gets his elbows out. Burke still might have the advantage, but it's going to be a left-hander coming up. Can Sommer make the move through? Yes, but just about. Nearly clashes sidewalls with Burke. Burke decides to throw the haymaker through back on the inside of the Dutchman and retakes 9th position. Great squabble here, but Burke runs wide. Sommer right on his rear wing.
What a great defense there from Philip Burke. Around the outside of the triple at 4, 5 and 6. Held that, just threw it in. Knew they were going to lose a little bit of grip, but still decided to just throw that car in to look for a move. And the Dutchman decided to just go a little bit of Verstappen-like racing. I'm not talking about Jos with his rallying. I'm talking about Max with his car control to just get that move done and just holds this off. Okay, leaders, What have you got? Then there were 4. Otuga might look to go for this, and he will go for this. He's going to go side by side with Mella. Is there going to be overtake when they come breaking into turn 1? No. And now this is the issue, because they slow down so much, and Mella again too aggressive. And that's the thing. Mella takes a different line and a different braking pattern, and I think that's what caused the Adam Miles moment. Martin as well, getting past Gardner in the picture-in-picture, but Mella back up to the lead, because it felt to me like Otuga just went a little bit too hot going into 1, turning into Hotel.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the back end of his car being a little bit looser than everybody else's, but Mella was able to park it on the inside when Otuga went for the Hail Mary. However, 2 to go here at Oschersleben. This has been a fantastic race, especially at the front end of the field. That's why these drivers have been battling so hard, and with about a lap and a half to go, top 4 covered by just over 6 tenths. And if Mella and Otuga come to blows, Vlado Tito will be there to pick up the pieces.
And Mella went a little bit wide coming out of McDonald's. And it's not going to allow Otuga to make a move. He's going to go for a late lunge, though. Just saw a little bit of overlap, but I think it was too much to go for. Compromise the line here. But they come out of Aman. Now he's going to look for another move. Very brave to look for this at Bauer. Is that just setting up for in case of emergency on the last lap? I wonder. I do wonder if that's it. One last proper charge to the line. And I feel Otuga, he's not close enough to look for any charge right now.
No, he's got Vlado Tito right on his rear wing at the moment. He's about a tenth and a half behind. White flag in the air. 1 to go here at Oschersleben. Mella leads the field into turn 1 for the final time and just about covers off Otuga. And it's 3 wide into turn 1 for what was 7th. My godfathers. Pablo Hogla losing out big, well, taking 7th. And it looks like it could be that Guardia is going to have an opportunity here. But Otuga, he's got to do something special here to take the win, the potential win off of Jose Mella. But you can see again, he's right with him. He's within a tenth of a second. And Otuga to the outside, going through, I think this is the triple now. And Mella getting a little bit squirrely on the back end. Otuga right with him. They're going to come through McDonald's now, down the back stretch for the final time. Tim Bertie, home soil for the German in 4th position. Can he try and make something of it as they come through the chicane into McDonald's, down the back stretch? It's Mella's race to lose.
Here comes the Serpentine, goes on the defense, goes back to the racing line, and Otuga's going to need to find something. Tito probably just looking and waiting. He wants to find something. Who gets the better line? Because Otuga's finding some really wide line to get the acceleration, but he's not close enough. Not close enough, just 2 more corners. Daniel, what have you got left here? You're going to leave it to the Spaniard. 1 more corner into Zeppelin. It's a whole lot of love for Jose, Luis, Mella. And for the first time this season, they will take victory. Otuga gets another 2nd place. Tito will round out the podium. Bertie was oh so close. And Miles, unfortunately, finishes in 5th.
Well, considering the fact that Adam Miles, he was 1.7 seconds behind Jose Mella after that touch. He actually halved the gap by race's end. So he was getting closer and closer, but we just ran out of laps.
Just ran out of laps, and you could feel like you could have watched another 15 laps from those drivers today. That was just absolute. Again, it's hard track to make an overtake, but then you've also got to be working together with one another to stay together. And it was just hard, respectful racing, looking for that chance to go. But it does mean that we have a new name at the top of the field. Jose Luis Mella will take victory away from Daniel Otuga, with Vlado Tito in 3rd. And then Tim Bertie will be in 4th, because Adam Miles in 5th, the number 1 car. Miguel Martin will be in 6th, followed by Raul Roches Guardia in 7th. Just fending off Pablo Rodriguez Hogla in 8th. Philip Berkowitz 9th. Erwin Zoma will round out your top 10.
Josephine Becker would take start us on page number 2 in 11th. Head of Frankie D. Jesus Cabal. Egowitz Ballard doing a very, very good job. Actually, the biggest move of the night. At one point was up 4 places. Finished up 3 in 14th. Head of Tim Huss. Franco Machini Shame for Peter Suapanki. Could we have seen him at the sharper end of the field a little bit later on in the race? Well, we'll never know on that one. And Brendan McDonough rounds out our 18 strong. And Vlado Tito has just jumped into YouTube chat and says 2 words: was fun. That's exactly what we liked about this race. It was fun and it was close quarter.
Yeah, it was absolute fun. Again, like we said, it was respectful racing as well. And it's a tight track to make moves. Very tight out there to just make some moves. And one man who was looking to get some moves was Adam Miles. And just going to let him in to the broadcasting booth because Adam right now here. And now, Adam, I got to say, a little bit unfortunate there because it was so close at the front. It felt like something had to give. And unfortunately, it was you getting a little tap on the rear of the car.
Yeah, it was almost a perfect race until then. Didn't really foresee that coming. I got clear into turn 1, and then just a punt from the rear, and that was the end.
It was unfortunate. It was just that little moment there. But this is the track that is really, in these cars, it's tough to make the overtakes. We've had all season tracks that are draft tracks, and there is a slipstream here, of course, but not as proliferant as we've seen. What is it about this track? Because where are the overtaking spots, do you feel? Because you had to go side by side through the triple, but apart from that, there wasn't really, and turn 1 and turn 2, there felt like there wasn't really any key places to even look for an overtake out there.
Yeah, we all know that the slipstream in the Skippy is pretty strong, but at this track it gets you alongside, maybe one wheel ahead, but certainly not enough to just, pull in front of the other driver before the braking zone. So you've either got to do it down the inside of turn 1 and try and hang it around the outside of 2, and then have the inside for 3, or you're hanging it around the outside of one of the chicanes at the end of the lap. So tricky track to get a pass done. Which was good. I mean, I put it on pole and was feeling pretty comfortable until that point. So I thought I'd be able to bring it home with, I think, 3 laps to go.
I've got to address an elephant in the room. The 10K, we know you lost. You race hard. You're not someone that gets a trophy, puts it to one side. You race it, and you could have had your 10K. Is that just a superficial thing for you, or is that something you want to get back? Because it's very interesting to see drivers hunt for that, but it felt like you were just in control, but you're back a few places now. You've got to go 3 steps forward to get that 10K back if you want it.
Yeah, I think I probably wanted it more before ever having had it. So when it was, 9.7, 9.8, there's obviously a target to be made. But once I got there, and then had a couple of bad races in the last couple of weeks and lost it again, it's not so important to get it back again. I've kind of been there, done that, and I'd rather just keep racing on this account. I'm not going to start driving the Skippies in a Smurf account just so I can get the 10K back. So it's on your mind when you're racing. It's disappointing when you lose 170 iRating at a race and you can only get it back about 3 at a time. But it's not going to stop me racing.
You are the racer's racer, Adam. You got that 10K. You've done it now. You won it, but you don't care. It's great to see that attitude from drivers. It's always great to see you racing. We look forward, hopefully, to seeing you next time out, which I believe will be Suzuka on the small layout. But until then, we hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you for the broadcast.
Adam Miles there, who unfortunately started on pole, but came home in 5th. One man who did actually get onto the podium, though, who capitalized on a driver making the mistake, was Vlado Tito. He's alongside Alex Goldsmith right now.
Well, Vlado, thank you firstly for joining us. Qualifying, well, he's just jumped out of the He's just jumped out. Literally, he's jumped. We pulled him in. There we go. Vlado Tito joins us from 5th on the start. Vlado, you managed to get to the final step of the podium. It was a tough ask out there because we could see that you were waiting and biding your time to try and see if anything was going to happen out front.
Yes, I was waiting something to happen because I know this is elite drivers in front of me and they will not waiting till the end of the race. So I try to be patient and try to gain every mistakes in front of me. What will going to happen, and I take it, I think 2 or 3 mistakes in front of me, I take it to places and I'm very happy for the podium.
Yeah, I mean it's very much single file here at Oschersleben. It was about picking your moments, but we head to the smaller layout of Suzuka next time. How are you feeling in terms of confidence for that one?
I really like this kind of tracks, not like the week before, and but I didn't have too much time to practice, and I was very disappointed to start 5. But but when we are good drivers here, we will not race in the single file. We will always try to provocate the mistakes the car in front, and we'll try to gain positions. So I think this was a very good race. I don't know what happened with Adam and Jose. They are elite drivers, and I hope everything was good there, or netcode or something. I will check later. But like I said, I'm very happy with this race now.
Well, I'm definitely sure that we'll see you up towards the sharp end in your qualifying next time out at the smaller variation of Suzuka. But well done on securing your podium here at Oschersleben tonight, Vlado.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Vlado Tito there, who finishes in 3rd place. And we have to call it a day, unfortunately. It's a lovely day, of course. Shout out to the Skip Barber community, or the Slip Barber community, for bringing us back in for another season. And, of course, to the team, Alex, Christian, and, of course, Dougie. If you do like what you've seen, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any more races, because next week, we head to a track that would be very familiar to people driving console games, and that's not an insult, that's just where people learnt this track. It's Suzuka East with the Snake, a really underrated layout for small cars, so that's going to be fantastic to see next week. And we've also got more races coming up in a few days. Grand Prix Legends head to Mexico City, and then the Sim Racers Republic around the same time will be at Jerez. That's going to be fun. And then into Vintage at Red Bull Ring later that day, before we come to Suzuka Full Course for the Lotus 79s on the following day. But of course, Championship hasn't really made much of a dent today. Adam Miles will be thankful he's got a drop week. He'll head into Suzuka, hopefully trying to get more points to overtake Miguel Martin. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.